Hey, welcome to our podcast today. This is Ask Aaron and Ask EJ podcast. This is Coach Eric Johnson, the brand.
This is Coach Aaron, the source. EJ, today's subject is inspired by true events. Spring
I
season
love
has
it.
started, and I'm having more and more conversations about performances over the weekend and
Right.
wanting to make knee jerk adjustments to those performances. So, in other words, my athlete didn't run well in his race. Can we add more of this, or can we do more of that? Can we change his block start? My kid didn't hit well this weekend. Can we do this for his hitting? Can we do that for their fielding? They didn't field well, So I'm starting to get some of these requests where parents are kind of pushing the panic button based on a single weekend performance. And I try and tell them it's a moment in time. Let's see if these things are a trend and if they need to be addressed. And then secondly, if some of these things weren't part of our development plan or aren't part of the current development plan, why leapfrog onto them now? You got to kind of stay the course. That's what training and development is about. Is not only having success but working through the pain. And
Mhm.
sometimes you have to wait to get through some of these things versus just saying, "Oh, okay, well, it looked like they didn't run well because they didn't have enough endurance. Now, let's switch to do some endurance training." Well,
Right.
all it does is throw the whole plan off. Sometimes you have to wait for that endurance to come, and that might be three more competitions down the line or four more competitions down the line. So you have to understand that everything has its place and time in the development curve, and not try and make all of these, again, rush judgments to how a kid is performing. Plus, when it's early in the season, athletes kind of have to find a competitive groove too. I mean, you're not going to, just like for our track athletes, you're not just going to, most athletes don't PR in their first meet.
Right.
You know, if you do, it's exceptional and it's great. We'll take it. But it usually takes three or four runs for an athlete to kind of gel. It's the same thing with pitchers. They've got to throw a little bit and throw in a few games live for that arm to really get to where they want it to be, for the control to be there, all of those things. So, I think parents have to kind of just take a step back, say, okay, take note of it and say, okay, let's see where this is going. If this is really a problem, or if this is just, again, one moment in time that is a little uncomfortable.
Right on. Well said, Aaron. And man, I tell you, it just stuff's happened to all of us trainers, all of us coaches. Um, it's the knee-jerk reaction initially when things aren't going perfect. Athletics aren't perfect, Aaron.
No, no, they're not.
Not. And I think
It's not linear either.
it's not. And it's like you're going up and down, up and down, up and down to find consistency. I think the key in this, Aaron, is that parents out there, don't hit the panic button. Look for consistency. Don't think that the result is the end because that's not true. It has to be a progression of, hey, maybe this weekend I saw some things you weren't doing the previous weekend. Like, for instance, you're hitting the ball more on the barrel and you look balance hitting. If we're just talking hitting,
Mm.
or if I was fielding, hey, it looks like you're getting your hands out, your foot movement pattern after you caught the ball and threw it, your throws were much better. We need to celebrate those victories instead of, hey, you made all those great plays, or you got 5 hits, and that's hey, that's what I'm looking for, and let's
Mhm.
go tell your batting instructor. Like, I got something that I thought was very interesting. I've worked with guys and make some adjustments and stuff, and I think as an athlete, when someone gives you something and you feel good about it and you believe in it, and then the next day you go out and you execute it, then all of a sudden it seems like, oh yeah, I fixed it. No, no, wait, slow down.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. What
Yeah.
happened was that maybe your head space was in a better place and you
Right.
got comfortable with allowing your natural ability to kind of take over to perform. That's a head thing, man. I mean, there are slight adjustments you make, but at the end of the day, in competition, it is dog eat dog, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you're just battling and competing. And I think a lot of times I've had guys that come in the night before I hit with them, Aaron, and the next day they go out and have a great game. And was that because it was reassurance and confidence that you're giving that player so they feel good about what they're doing? Or was it a lot about mechanics? I think it's both. It's a
Hmm.
two-way street there, okay? There's a little adjustment, but I think a lot of the times you get that player in a better mindset. And I think that's what parents need to understand. Don't hit the panic button. Just celebrate the little things that keep on the progression that allows the player to keep on getting better. And I think sometimes they just get, I mean, I've had a lot of parents come to me lately and say, "Hey, we're not doing that." I go, "My God, it's only like we're only 10 games into the season. We
Hmm.
have 35 more to go." You know, or we have 40 more to go, and just kind of just relax a little bit. Let your athlete, like you said, let your athlete get into the competitive groove.
Yeah, I mean with me, especially with track athletes, it's always about process because I really don't care if they win races at the beginning of the year. I'm only interested in where they're at championship season, part of the season. And so they may run a good race and my first question is how did you get there? Did you execute and follow the process that we laid out? Now, if you did that and you had a great result, good. If you did that, if you didn't do it and you had a great result, that's bad
Right.
because I know ultimately we're still going to come up short. So I'm always looking at whether they win, lose, or whatever, are they doing the things that we need to be done? And that's what you just said. It's about the execution and the consistency of the things that you're trying to accomplish
Right.
that I'm always looking long term. I don't really care who wins the dual meet in
Okay.
February, or your
Right.
inter squad meet. It's if you're talking about trying to build championship caliber athletes, well, we're talking about late in the season. And so what are the steps that we're taking that are going to get us to that level along the way? And to me, competition is part of that process. It's not just to win competitions, but those competitions are the building blocks that get us to the ultimate championship competitions.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm always going to be looking at, well, how did you get there? Because if you got there the wrong way, then that can reinforce some bad habits because like you said, they think they're there. They think they're finished.
Right.
And so now you've got an athlete that's doing some things that might give them a degree of success with lower level competition, but we both know it's not going to fly at the next level. And actually, I was talking to a parent about that this week with hitting, and about why they should be seeing you is because you've we've always talked about will that swing hit at the next level,
Right.
and if you're not, you can have great success at 60 feet base pads and all that sort of thing.
Right. Right.
But
Exactly.
is that swing gonna play at the next level when it's 90 feet and there's more room and they're throwing harder and all those things? So, as a trainer, I don't like to be short-sighted because
Right.
this kid's not trying to just necessarily be. No one's giving him a scholarship at the eighth grade or the seventh grade. They're going to give it to him when he's 17 and 18. So we have to be on a trajectory that builds him towards that sort of athlete with those sorts of attributes: swing, speed, power, explosiveness, agility. We have to build him towards those attributes that are going to be a commodity when he's 17 and 18. Not really worry about it when we're 12 and 13.
Right. Right.
So,
Because, again, those are, being that young, like you said, 12, 13, bodies are changing. Even at 14, bodies are changing. I think here's another podcast, the 14U athlete, the eighth
Hmm.
grader, when the body starts to change. How do you deal with that as a parent? That's another podcast I want to get into with you a little bit, Aaron. But, you know, bodies change, people mature differently. Kids understand the stuff we're trying to execute differently at different times in the stages of their development. And I think if we hit the panic button early, we're sending a bad message to the athlete, like, hey, what's wrong with you?
Yeah,
And I want to keep that kind of mindset of what's wrong with you out of the equation for an athlete at any age. You want to make sure, say, hey, listen, where are we moving? Your progression's here. I like what you're doing. But we can't say, what's wrong with you? Like,
right.
I mean, first of all, you need to say, hey, do you understand where you need to be? And I think having conversations with athletes, Aaron, and having them express how they feel or what they're thinking is crucial because it seems like today, my opinion, athletes don't know because they don't know how to communicate. Like I asked, do you understand what we're talking about? I'll talk to a player. Do you understand what we're trying to do here? What is the short-term goal? What's the long-term goal? And what do you think we can do to help you understand this better or execute this better? And there needs to be a partnership. And I think that's what it is, the partnership between the athlete, trainer, whatever. Even the parent needs to be involved to say, hey, take a step back.
Yeah,
Where are
and
you at?
that's yep, and that was what I was just going to say is the parent has to be involved because they're the ones who are sometimes putting on this implied pressure on the athlete, and it's like, and I just want the parents to also say, well, hey, is this an ego thing? Is this jump to, hey, we got to fix this, we got to fix that, because you may have felt a little embarrassed because your kid didn't perform well this weekend, so you got to kind of say, well, hey, what's really driving this? And that's why I suggest that you kind of sit in it for a little bit and see, hey, is this a trend? Is this something that's new that may have cropped up that I need to bring to the coach's attention or to the trainer's attention? And also, coaches are kind of at fault because obviously they want to win, and if a kid doesn't have a good performance, everyone wants to jump to fix it. And it's like, well, hold it. Is this again a moment in time where this kid has kind of just had one bad game or one bad tournament? Or is this more indicative of a trend that's going on? Because it's not fair for the coach to all of a sudden say, oh yeah, well, you know what? I think she needs, more speed. And now you're putting the pressure on, well, the kid, she's always been slow. Is she getting faster? Well, she may not be where you need right now, but if she's
It's
trending in
improving.
that way, kind of leave her alone. Don't put that undue pressure because she's not going to get any faster. So, again, coaches can see an athlete and maybe the performance isn't quite what they want, and maybe it cost them a game, maybe it cost them a run, maybe something, but you still, as a coach, have to understand that, hey, if this athlete's giving their best, they're trying, then you may have to make some temporary adjustments until that athlete gets to where you want it to be, or find someone else to replace that athlete. But you just can't jump down the parent's throat and then jump down the athlete's throat like, well, she needs to get this, because that's what happens. Parents come in on a Monday and it's like, well, the coach says she needs this, the coach says she needs that. And I'm like, well, is the coach a trainer? I definitely like coach's input and their take on where they see an athlete at, but again, why aren't you giving that feedback when that athlete is training with you during the off season?
Hmm.
Versus all of a sudden, it's no epiphany that this kid can't run just because the season started, especially if that kid's been with you. So, again, parents, you gotta maybe not let that coach push you just because they may be a little frustrated with your athlete's performance,
It's
and,
funny,
and say, hey, tell them we're working on it. She's working on it.
hmm
Leave it at that.
I like that you gave that tip to the parents. I try to tell our athletes, whether I train or I coach our athletes, I never give them any feedback.
Yeah.
Like and say we on a weekly basis,
Mm-hmm.
I might wait a month or 6 weeks to say something like, "Hey, I think we need to do this because this is what I've been seeing. Here's a trend
Mm-hmm.
I've been seeing." So usually when I say something to a parent or an athlete, it's to this is what I've been seeing over a period of time. Let's change that. Let's
Yeah.
the player get comfortable. Like, why isn't this guy hitting? Like, I'll have a conversation with my assistant coach and say, I don't understand why this player's not hitting. And it's between us, like
Mm-hmm.
the athlete doesn't know, the parent doesn't know, but we're talking about like, okay, let's give him some more weeks, see if he'll figure it out. Let's see if they'll figure it out and give him time to fail,
Yeah.
but give instruction too and say, try this to see if you can get a player going. Because as a coach, you have to try to get like from a coaching side, you try to get those players going, right? But you can't ever hit the panic button because the panic button it alerts the athlete something is wrong.
Yeah.
And I think as an athlete, Aaron, and you and I know this because of our athletic journeys and coaching journeys, that players get insecure, they can't execute. They're
Oh,
they're
I
they're,
like
they're
that. Yep.
they can't execute. They get insecure, they can't execute, and it messes with their head, and they're fighting that instead of trying to progress on the trajectory we like them to. They're worried about, got coach said that, or I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And the focus is on that now and
Yeah.
not on what
The
we're trying.
process. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think that's super important out there. And parents, if you're listening, or I hope you're listening to us, but that's important. I tell parents this all the time, Aaron. I said after the game, don't say anything to your kids after the meet, match, whatever you're doing, let the athlete bring up the conversation if they want to talk about it. Don't say, hey, your team did good. Hey, say, hey, did you have a good time today? Great. Are you hungry? Hey, you want to go do this? Do something different. Because I think, as an athlete, as a kid, and my dad was pretty tough on me. I, I didn't want to hear what happened at the game after the game. If I know I messed up, I knew I messed up. I mean, I'm like, God, I didn't play very well. And most kids who are competitive take that to heart themselves when they say, hey, I didn't do good today. So I tell parents that, listen, just leave them alone. Let them come and talk to you. Let them say, hey, what do you think? What did it seem like to you? Let the
Yeah.
athlete speak that way to you. And the relationship between the parent and the player is a parent and son, or parent and daughter relationship is better. It has nothing to do with the sport. It's just they're able to come to you and talk to you about things in life. And
Yeah.
that's the most important thing. Sport is a character builder, and it tells us a lot how we are in our lives.
Yeah. No, I would end it with that. I don't have anything else to add. So,
Well, please, hey, hit us up with Ask Aaron and Ask EJ about anything that you want to hear that we want to talk about. And this is Coach EJ, the brand.
and this is Coach Aaron, the source. We'll see you.